Hello, this is Cynthia Sue Larson with realityshifters.com, and today I'm talking about tips for changing the past. The idea here is that we live in many possible worlds. So if you think about the idea that there could be parallel universes alongside us in all directions as far as the imagination can go, and you also consider the fact that time is symmetrical, so we're able to influence both the past and the future. And if you think about time as it should be thought of according to Einstein, it's really space-time. And so we want to be contemplating this idea of a fabric that you can move in different directions on, like you would move on a map or move your car across a road to another destination. You should be able, theoretically, to go forward and backward through space-time just as easily as you would travel anywhere else. Geographically through the three dimensions of space. So putting these ideas together of many possible realities, with lots of them adjacent to ours, and we can get to them through our consciousness, through our mindset. That's pretty much what you need for your space-time travel apparatus. And what you're doing when you change the past is you're actually jumping, quantum jumping if you will, to another timeline. And when you do that, you've effectively not only changed your past, or the past as you knew it, but you're also moving to another reality entirely. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. In my book, Reality Shifts, When Consciousness Changes the Physical World, and here is a copy of it in paperback, I've got a story in here about a time that I was living just across the street from where I used to live, and my roommate, my old roommate, had a cat that I'd lived with for many years and grown to know and love. His name was Ashes, and here's a picture of him in the book. He's curled up, sleeping here. What I want to tell you about is that this cat had been hit by a car, and my roommate had told me that he'd passed away and I wouldn't see Ashes again. And I was devastated, and my husband at the time was also quite bereft. So we were feeling very sad about this, and I'd wished that I'd been able to at least have more time with Ashes, because it seemed like he was just taken away too soon. And I didn't give it any more thought. What happened subsequently was really shocking to me. I was living just across the street from where I used to live, and there in the backyard one day I saw Ashes. And he was alive and well. He was looking a little bit like he hadn't been grooming himself too well, but he was totally the same cat. There was no mistaking him. And he came when I called him, and I was flabbergasted because I realized at that moment something amazing had happened. And I had that kind of a flash where many of us have that feeling that something is not quite the way we think it should be or the way we thought it was. In this case, I remembered, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure that my roommate Catherine told me that Ashes had been hit by a car. And so I mentioned this to my husband, and he thought about it, and then he realized, yeah, that's true. So we were left with a situation of no explanation, something for the X-Files. And I'd had a lot of those experiences over the years until I started actively looking for other people that had experienced reality shifts. And that's what this book is full of stories of. But the reason I'm mentioning the story is because when you recognize that you want to change something in the past, and I've had several people just this last month write to me asking, how can I change my past? Because I've been through something horrible, and I wish it wasn't that way. Either I've lost a loved one, someone very close and dear to me, or somebody in my life did something that they really shouldn't have done, and I'd love to just let them know or change something so that my fiance wouldn't have cheated on me or a dear family member wouldn't have passed away before their time for a very, unfortunate series of events. So anyway, getting back on track, the way that we can move reality around and see the kind of changes to our past, when you think about the fact that you're in this realm of many, many worlds, and you can actually move consciousness to affect the entire time-space fabric. Some people talk about time-space threads, but it's really more like fabric. And so, because you're moving from one entire reality to another, and yeah, we're looking at string theory as a possible theory of everything, of course. But when you have enough strings, then you've got fabric, and when you've got fabric, you've got a universe, and that's really what we're looking at here. There's just many, many, many universes, a multiverse, if you will. So to move between these, I'm going to use another analogy to let you know how it's possible to change your reality. And the thing that I like to think about is driving a stick-shift car. For those of you that drive automatic transmission cars, you might not be familiar with it, but basically, just follow along. You've got one foot on the gas pedal, and when you want to change from first gear to second gear, for example, the driver needs to move their foot from the gas pedal to the clutch. What the clutch does is amazing. It allows the gears to disengage. And then the driver shifts the gear and puts the foot from the clutch back onto the gas pedal. So how does this relate to reality shifting? Here's how. When we look at matter as being either something physical that you could actually touch and hold, like a book, or something energetic, and you recognize that we actually have both in everything, then you know something's amazing about this. And the way to change realities is to move into that energy mode. We do it by disengaging from one reality and re-engaging with another. So it's really like the clutch pedal, and I liken that to a sense of getting to a place of acceptance. And you may wonder, why acceptance? Acceptance is just that place where you're not emotionally entangled with anything. It really is the closest feeling to being in a state of above it all and open to anything, open to that oneness experience. And oneness is where you get beyond that sense of being in space and time and stuck in one place. So the goal then that we would like to pursue is to get to a mindfulness state of oneness and acceptance. And I've got a meditation CD that I find helpful for myself, and a lot of other people love it too. It's Aura Healing Meditations, and that's me on the cover of the CD, and just engaging in meditation in nature, which is where I love to be when I feel most connected to oneness. But for each of you, you can actually look into your own best practice for meditation and combine some process that you'd like to feel relaxed with and get into that state of acceptance with. So it could be as simple as washing the dishes, going on a walk. And if you go to my blog post, you can see a link to an article on how to choose the best meditation for you. And this is basically the entire key. Once you get to that state of oneness, then you're able to disengage from the reality that might seem so oppressive or difficult in some way, and emotionally relax so that you're energetically open to moving to an adjacent reality. So until next time, keep asking, how good can it get? This is Cynthia Sue Larson with realityshifters.com.